Three, two, one.
We'd like to welcome you to another edition of Grok Talk, brought to you by New Hampshire's leading conservative blog site, GraniteGrok.com. We are your feared extremist, right-wing, hard-charging, gun-toting, opinionated, outspoken, rabble-rousing, letter-writing, radio microphone stomping conservatives and rational libertarians. So get ready for more news and opinion you could only get from GraniteGrok.com.
Grok Talk.
All right, we are Grok Talk from our third world bastion with rolling blackouts and all kinds of cool stuff in the capital, Concord, New Hampshire. Thanks again for tuning in. Again, many thanks to Karen Lalore, Marine, ran for Congress, legislator in New York, a Republican legislator in New York. Holy cow, boy, what a job that is.
They call him assemblyman.
Assemblyman?
Yes,
assemblyman. Okay, so enough of that. Our next guest is the Vice President of Business and Culture for Media Research Center. He's a veteran editor with more than 2 decades of experience in print and online media, including as an editor at the Washington Times, the Baltimore News American. You can find his work all over the internet. I would like to welcome to the program Mr. Dan Gainor. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, and welcome to the Post-Climate Conference America.
I was going to say I had a couple of quick notes about things we're going to talk about. You know, we had the holiday display of religious bigotry from the press. We have the jihad deniers blaming the climate deniers for terrorism. We have, and this was my favorite note, the media onset coverage of the Lifetime Network movie COP21 in Paris. And of course, if anything happens anywhere near Planned Parenthood, the media's got to find out how close it was. So,
well, and also, I mean, today, because you guys are closer to the Nexus of Evil, i.e. the New York Times building, you know, they came out with their first front page editorial they've had in 95 years. And, of course, it's about guns, because everyone in America realizes that when you have radical Islamic terrorists come into your country, one of whom not from your country, when they come into your country and arm themselves with IEDs and, you know, guns and try to kill people and kill a massive number of people, leading police on a chase, et cetera, and clearly you planned other attacks, that it's an issue of gun control. Because, you know, that's really, you know, I mean, and then you saw, of course, 2 days straight of the incompetent, whack job, lunatic cowards at the New York Daily News, to the point where they bashed prayer on their front page one day, and the next day they called Wayne LaPierre, whether you agree with guns or not, the head of a organization of Americans doing something they are legally allowed to do. They called him a terrorist.
Yeah, we noticed that, and one thing that we call ourselves here, Dan, and this is Skip talking, we are the safest podcast here in New Hampshire for obvious reasons.
We're all carrying right now.
Yes.
No, we are.
And when and I just have to wonder about the media, including Fox News, that just in breathless terms they say, "Oh, they had 2,000 rounds of 9mm and 500 rounds of 223," and all of us are sitting here going, "These guys are pikers."
Well, I mean, what they don't understand is if you go to the range, you know that, I mean, even if you're a rank amateur, you're dropping a couple hundred rounds as you go in the range. If you buy in bulk, because of course it's gotten increasingly difficult to buy ammo in certain places. Yep. I live in Maryland. The Dick's Sporting Goods near me stop selling ammunition, stop selling guns, stop selling everything.
Wow.
You know, it's difficult to buy, so a lot of people buy stuff by mail.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I know a lot of Maryland gun owners who buy stuff by mail if their offices, especially if their offices aren't in Maryland. Maryland being a tiny state, a lot of people work over the line in Delaware, Pennsylvania, D.C., and Virginia. And I know a lot of gun owners who have their stuff shipped there because they don't really want the state of Maryland monitoring their acquisitions.
You know, one of the observations that I made yesterday is in the wake of the San Bernardino terrorist attack. You know, they went Aloha Snack Bar on everybody and shot 14 people, wounded 14 other. The DHS has this public service announcement out how to deal with an active shooter attack, and they have 3 things: run, hide, fight back. So I'm looking at the fight back port component. I'm going, grab a fire extinguisher, grab a hairspray can or whatever's near you and use it as a weapon. Well, wait a minute. why don't I just use a gun?
I
mean, they never thread their logic together.
Well, they do. They don't believe you should have a right to a gun. I do love it. Like, where you get a baseball bat? Because I saw those drawings. Like, okay, where are you supposed to get a baseball bat? I don't have a baseball bat in my office.
But every classroom should have a baseball bat.
If you read the New York Times editorial, this is the media speaking. They're saying that Americans should give up, and they don't even make it clear what types of guns they want us to give up, but we should give them up as for the sake of our other fellow citizens. The heck with that Second Amendment. The heck with the First Amendment. I mean, is there an amendment in the Constitution that the left now likes?
No.
Because I don't know what it is.
Only when it serves their own purpose. But you got it exactly right, and I know that you guys have this on your page. Geraldo Rivera of Fox News, formerly of WABC, said the Second Amendment is stupid. He thinks it's that, and there's a lot of folks out there on the left media that have said it's an anachronism. It's no longer suitable for evolved people. If
you go by Ezra Klein, he thinks, it's just an old document. I mean, that's the general lefty attitude about the whole Constitution, and even more about the founders. I mean, this is part and parcel of a universal strategy to overturn everything the country was founded on. They're going around in a conscious war against anybody who has some sort of politically incorrect belief now in history. They're even going after liberal icons like Woodrow Wilson. So Wilson,
I'm fine with that.
But for the wrong reason. I mean,
I was going to say, except of course that if they go after Wilson, they go after Jefferson, Washington, etc. They want to get everybody, because they don't believe that the founding of America was a good thing. So you go after the founders, go after the founding document. They go after freedom of religion, freedom of speech. Remember, freedom of press. These are the same idiots on the left that were trying to get the FCC into American newsrooms to decide how news was decided. That's positively Soviet.
No, it really is. And, one of the things, and I have to say for full disclosure, Dan Grenick has endorsed Ted Cruz for president. But the thing about the Trump candidacy is his utter disdain for political correctness. Now, we've been fighting that fight here for years. We don't particularly care what the Democrats or the progressives call us. We just laugh at them. They have no idea what to take about that. But we see that now at the national level with Trump, basically making fun of the media and anybody else who makes political correctness attacks on him. And my question is the left starting to figure it out that we're starting to say, you have no power over us because we're rejecting your words?
Well, I think what's happened, we've seen two candidates this election do something we used to call disintermediate.
Yep.
As one of those early Internet terms. They don't need the media. Donald Trump's bigger than the media. Mm-hmm. And he's a big enough celeb, and I read a really good piece that's too wonky to go into detail here, but he's just talking about how celebrities and big brands and big organizations like the NFL or Major League Baseball or anything like that, they don't need the media anymore. They have their own media. And so Donald Trump is the same way. He doesn't need the media. He says something on Twitter, it gets retweeted thousands of times, millions of people see it. Why does he need the New York Times? Why give the New York Times access? I tweeted out earlier today that the GOP's response, because obviously a lot of the GOP candidates are pro-gun. GOP response from those candidates or anybody who is pro. If there were any pro-gun people on the Democratic side, I'd say this too. But anybody who's pro-gun should say we're not dealing with the New York Times anymore. Yeah. We're going to cut off the reporters. We're not going to invite them to events. We're going to pull their press credentials. They're not going to be able to go into debates, even to the presidential debates. The GOP policy should be, no, we're not. You want them at the presidential debate, then there won't be a presidential debate.
No, I think you're absolutely right, Dan. With the rise of the new media, there's so many different ways to get the message out that the old media, and you guys talk about it all the time, the plunge in subscription rates, the plunge in ad revenue, and they still haven't gotten the idea that when you basically sneer and spit in the face of half of your potential audience, you're going to not get out as much.
But see, they don't care. Mm-hmm. I use this example because everybody is deluded to think that media people want to make money. They know they're going to make a certain amount of money. Whether it's Hollywood or news, they don't care. They want to push their agenda. So several years back, remember when the Lord of the Rings movies first came out?
Yep.
Enormously popular, built-in fan base, finally had the technology to make them look good. Everybody was thrilled. And, so around that time we got the Narnia movie, which is, again, built-in fan base, huge Christian metaphor, absolutely one of the most famous Christian writers of the age. And Hollywood's response to that movie, instead of copycatting it like it did the Lord of the Rings movie, Hollywood's response to Narnia was the Golden Compass. So we're going to take a Christian metaphor movie, and our response, we got to appeal to that audience, is to do a movie where the characters all conspire to kill God.
Yeah, but the Golden Compass kind of tanked.
Yeah, the Dark Materials series is a 3-part series.
And I've read it.
They tried to hide the fact that it's a big atheist, anti-Christian, anti-Catholic, particularly anti-Catholic series. They tried to hide it because they wanted to make the sequels, and even then, people were too smart for them, so they never made the sequels. And that's Hollywood. They don't, and major media, the news media, are worse. Look at the New York Times. Do you honestly think that there's a person in America, the whole nation, who's going to change their opinion because the New York Times ran a front-page editorial saying, "Let's get guns"?
Well, not people of flyover country and those on the
No,
right.
but even in New York, even what they call the Acela corridor, Washington to Boston, is anybody going to change it? No. This was the pretentious, elite, urban, rich liberals speaking to the pretentious, elite, urban, rich liberals.
But nice way of putting it. But here's another thing.
I was hoping to come up with that to spell something, and I realized everything I started to come up with was something I couldn't say on radio. So
Okay, that's fine.
Here's the other observation that we've been making lately is that you see these high-paid movie stars like Liam Neeson and Jennifer Lawrence, and most recently, who was the guy who... there's been a couple of other male actors who have basically berated their movies or berated their audiences. Folks like us who are Christian, gun-toting, religious, right-of-center traditional Americans, and they've been trashing us. And then they're starting to wonder, why aren't our movies doing all that well all of a sudden? For instance, the latest version of The Hunger Games, they're predicting that it basically is doing about 35% under what it should have because Jennifer Lawrence shot her mouth off.
Gone are the days when a Hollywood celeb could come out and say something and everybody go, "Oh yeah, that's brilliant. We all got to do that." Now, this is social media has driven a Grand Canyon-esque divide in America because no longer are the heads of either political party kind of running things and tamping down the more radical views of people on both sides. Now, all of us get to express our views. The media and both political parties hate that. But what has meant, though, is idiot views like those from Hollywood, Neeson, Jim Carrey, others, now they get trashed. And now the fans who, and I like Jennifer Lawrence, she's one of the few genuine people in Hollywood, but she also seems to genuinely hate me and everything I believe in.
Right.
And I thought The Hunger Games were very good movies, and I was going to go to the theater and see it. Now I'll watch it when it comes on cable.
There you go.
Because I already pay for that, and I got a big TV anyhow, so the heck with it. And I think that's become more common. It's interesting. The Black Lives Matter people are really angry at some of the African American celebrities because not all of them have come out and spoken on their issue the way they want them to. Because people like, and I believe, even though Beyonce follows one of the leaders, DeRay McKesson, on Twitter, she has not come out and made a big deal. Beyonce is a smarter businesswoman than DeRay McKesson. Mm-hmm. And so she doesn't want to offend a lot of her fans who might think otherwise. I mean, that's what it's become now. What is your career worth to you? Because you're going to alienate people. I've never understood it from a business perspective, but they don't care. And then it's particularly funny. I mean, at least Jennifer Lawrence was honest about this part, where she came out and said, she was angry about how women get paid less in Hollywood, but then pointed out that she's also a lousy negotiator, and that's a good tongue. It's like, well, then shouldn't that be the fault of your agent? I mean, especially when you are young and beautiful and smart and really talented. I mean, when you like,
she
by the
is.
way,
She's an amazing actress.
Song.
She really is.
But when you are that way and you're at the top of your game, shouldn't you demand more money?
I would think so.
I mean, all you can do is look in the trades and see what people are making. Say, oh yeah, he made $20 million. I want 25 for this movie. Oh, we're not going to pay that. Well,
it's like they say in the NFL, he got paid. Hang on the line there, Dan. We're going to take a really short break. We'll come right back. We're talking to Dan Gainor from the Media Research Center.